Ed Begley here with the lovely Daryl, Hannah to my right, and on the left here, David Blume. Alcoholcanbeagas.com. Learn more about what he's doing. We're going to do a conversion now with these simple tools you told me to bring. You told me to bring a Phillips. I brought a number 2 Phillips and a 10mm in a socket set here with an extension. And we're going to do a conversion now, which is quite easy, I'm told.
Yes, basically cars are almost ready to run on alcohol the way they come from the factory. In fact, some cars, like my Ford F-150 over to the one side here, came from the factory, already able to run on both alcohol and
ready
gas.
to go. No conversion necessary with those cars, those flex fuel cars, I think.
Right, it only costs them $50 on the assembly line. But even if you don't have one of those, we can do what we're going to do today, which is take any other car and put the very same kind of computer brains in it that would come on a factory vehicle that runs on alcohol, and you can have the very same effect of being able to run on both alcohol or gasoline. You only have to run on gasoline if you can't get alcohol, and I know it's disappointing, but it's good to be able to get home once in a while.
Exactly. So my first task, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to take off this whole air filter assembly above the butterfly in the, for the intake, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to stand aside a little bit here and start to work here on this particular connection. Again, this is a 10mm in my particular case. Different cars will vary, but this nut is coming off quite easily.
And the idea is that what's under the air cleaner are the fuel injectors.
Correct.
And so Ed is trying to get us access to the fuel injectors.
Very carefully, do not lose these. Put them in a place where they won't fall down into a storm drain. Put them aside where you can't lose them. And now we've taken off these 2 very important bolts here. And then I'm going to go, because I was smart enough to bring an extension, as suggested. I believe there's another bolt down below here. Yes, I see it right there. This is the 10mm as well. I'm going to loosen that. What that's doing is loosening another one of these bolts that goes into the, there's a connection here with a hose, I believe, isn't it, David?
That's correct, yes. That holds your air cleaner on top of your fuel injection air throttle body, where the air goes into the engine.
To make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to take these very easy hand clamps off. And I think there's a third here, and yes, there is. And take this off, set this aside very carefully again. You don't want to lose your air filter, any of that. And now I've loosened this. Let me take this all the way off.
I think that's enough on that one.
That's loose enough? Great. You don't have to take that all the way. You're right.
One more clamp.
One more clamp, right.
Right there.
Ah, yes, this one. Do I have to do the vacuum hose as well?
Yes.
Let me take this off.
What is that thing?
What he's taking off now is the air inlet going into the air cleaner, and this is the air cleaner housing. So this is what filters your air before you, don't worry about that, Ed, we'll pick it up.
Get that. Great.
Okay, so we can just tip that out of the way.
Tip that out of the way, and now you see this is where the air goes into the engine. And most importantly, now if you can get a shot of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's a 4-cylinder engine, we're going to unclamp these. There's little clips here, and you press the end of the clip right here and gently rock it off. Gently rock it off. That's 1 cylinder.
So these are the connectors that go on the back of the fuel injector, and they tell the injector, they give electricity to the injector to open and close. Fuel injectors have a little valve in them. So the computer says how long that valve should say open and close to deliver fuel to the engine every time it squirts. So what the kit's going to do, that Ed's going to be installing, it's going to intercept the signal from the computer. That signal will go through our computer, and our software will tell it, hey, you know, you need a little more fuel, and so it'll send a different signal to the fuel injector than the one the car's computer did. And that way the car thinks it's running on gasoline, but it'll be running on alcohol. This is the same way, basically, that the stock factory alcohol fuel devices work on the ones like the Ford 150 over there, or many of the cars that are made around the world that run on both alcohol and gas.
This goes to ground, right? I'll ground this out in a moment.
That's right.
But for now, may I put these on, these 4 leads?
That's right.
Is there any particular order to put these on?
No, they all fire at the same time. So in some cars, and not that one, but the other ones.
Yep,
Yeah.
right into here.
Right, see, so what Ed's doing is he's taking the signal that's coming from the computer, right? As soon as he's got them installed, we'll show you. That's 2 cylinders down.
Here come the other 2.
Let's just do one more, and then we can...
Yep.
Oh, I used the other one, I think, Ed, that one.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes, this one right here.
Right here. Thank you, thank you. Great. And then this one will go right here.
Yeah.
The other way. There it is.
Good. So the idea is, here was the original connector that
Right.
that carries the pulse from the engine's computer. So then it goes through this wire to the computer that Daryl's holding. It comes back from there after being processed and goes into this jack and sends the signal to the fuel injector to fire. So it's just a way of giving the computer the brains it needs that it didn't come with at the factory to handle a wider range of fuels. And really, that's the whole conversion, except for putting down the ground wire.
And we put a ground wire down, and we there's a Velcro attachment for this, correct?
Yeah,
You
just
need
to
to
keep
bolt
it from
flopping around.
flopping
Where does the
around.
ground go?
Under any bolt on the engine. So
This bolt, for
that one
instance?
looks really good.
That's a 10, I'm sure.
Yep. And the idea is the ground gives a place for the electricity to go. Once it goes through the injector, it has to go to ground or complete the circuit. And so any engine bolt can serve, or you can actually, if the battery is close by, that same terminal can go right on your battery post, a negative battery post.
Negative battery.
Yeah,
So this goes to any negative.
right. And of course, any part of your engine is negative or the ground.
Right.
So there it goes and pulls a bolt out, and he's putting it back in.
And then that's it?
And that's it. Now this car will run on...
It's just that easy, folks.
Now-
Switch from slice to dice. Enjoy everybody's favorite, delicious golden brown French fries. Order now and get this wedge cutting attachment.
Right. Now, with something this simple, you'd think that, well, why doesn't everyone do it? But of course, we're told over and over again, oh my gosh, the conversion to alcohol is going to be so complicated, and
It's
so
so
many
expensive.
parts will have to be changed. And the reality is, this is what you have to do after the fact, on the assembly line. It's even easier than this, But now, if you're living in a place that has alcohol at the pump for $1.70 and gasoline is $3.05, you're immediately starting to save money, and you're saving 98% of the pollution that you would otherwise have from
And
gasoline.
the filter assembly,
It's right back here.
right back here.
And you're no longer giving your money to the oil companies, but you're giving it to a local farmer who is now spending it in your community, and that money circulates around your community. This benefits everyone, So there's really nothing stopping us from switching over to alcohol with kits like this in a matter
That's
of months.
ridiculous how easy that is.
And
fast.
a proper person wants it tidy, you would maybe get some cable ties at Radio Shack, or I
Right.
have them at home sitting around.
Even
You would
an actor
dress all
could do
this.
it.
Even an actor. I'm not a real actor, but I play one on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, people are amazed too, because they keep waiting for, well, where's the shoe to drop? Where's like this big project I have to do to reprogram my computer or do something complicated? And really, this is it. You can then go ahead and take alcohol and pour it right in the tank and start driving, So in Brazil, when this technology became available, 85% of the cars in Brazil converted to this because gasoline was twice the expense of alcohol. And it's getting to be that way here in this country, especially after what we expect will be the next round of gas price rises. Already, alcohol is only $1.71 compared to $3.20 for gasoline, for instance, right around us where we're doing this broadcast. So, and alcohol is not likely to go up.
Does
or
it change
gasoline.
the efficiency of your car?
Yes, more of alcohol turns into work, and more of gasoline turns into pollution and waste heat. So, you're getting more work per gallon out of the fuel. But since alcohol starts off with a bit less energy, it's typical that Ed's vehicle here might drop in mileage 5 or 10%, but he's only paying, you know, a third less for the fuel. So even if you lose a little bit of mileage, you can still come out way ahead on the money.
And it burns much cleaner.
How long was that on time? How did I do?
I don't know. That looked like about 7 minutes to me, but you know. I don't know. I think you might actually qualify to work at my shop, Ed. And
I'm ready
convert
to
for
join
me.
a pit crew at this point. The Green Car Challenge.
Yeah, you know, and the big thing is you can drive this with a completely clear conscience, or you can even drive that big truck next to it with a completely clear conscience. Because if you look out behind me toward downtown Los Angeles, you can see what happens when you drive cars that aren't running on alcohol. You know, you can see the air, and you can see all the pollution that came from those cars between us and just a few blocks away or a mile away. But in Brazil, where they ran cars on alcohol without catalytic converters, the city of Sao Paulo, which is bigger than Los Angeles, had air that was crystal clear because they were running cars on alcohol. You know, so all of us who, you know, have to breathe this kind of air would rather not. And so with alcohol, we can, you know, have the kind of air that we all want to breathe and still be able to get around, and at the same time not give our money to corporations that don't care about the air we breathe.
Can we do Daryl's car too now?
We can take a look at what we did Daryl's car.
Yeah.
You did Daryl's car already?
Yes, yes.
Because my car didn't have a fuel injection system.
Right, right.
So it was, they had to first bring it up to that standard since it's an older car.
I think, do we have a
And
lever
then,
in there, Tom?
wow, it looks so pretty.
It's a beautiful car.
Ridiculous. Oh, wow.
So actually, I'd like to introduce for just a moment here Dave Stoltz, who did a lot of the work on converting this car.
Dave is right here, my dear friend Dave.
Yes.
Thank you, Dave.
So why don't you, yes.
Thank you.
Why don't you give us a, open up the hood and we can do a quick tour of what we did in here.
Oh my
Well, first of all,
gosh.
before we do that, you know, when we got the car from Daryl, it was pretty ratty. In fact, there were rats living in the engine compartment eating the wires. So
Yeah.
this is the first time she's seen it since we converted it. So what are you thinking of it
Well,
now?
because I don't drive gas burners, so it just sort of it sat there for a while. Like you said, it was a habitat for some of the
Wildlife.
creatures of the forest. But oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful. It's so clean. Wow, this must be the fancy
The conversion kit.
conversion kit, huh? Well, what did you do to it?
Well, we converted over to electronic fuel injection first, which underneath the air cleaner, it's all new technology under there. It's not the old carburetor that it used to be. And we had to change all the fuel lines going back to the tank, put the computer in under the dashboard, and then tune it all up and get it, you know, it's like a modern engine now in its fuel induction. And then to convert it to alcohol, that was good for gasoline, but then to convert it to alcohol, we put the conversion kit on,
Right.
and that makes it flex fuel.
Do you need to have synthetic fuel lines because the alcohol
No,
will
they-
erode them, or no? It's not
No,
like that.
I converted my own little Toyota truck over to alcohol.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it runs great, and I didn't change nothing. It's an 84, and I did a carburetor. I drilled a carburetor out and stuff, and it runs great, and I haven't changed nothing. I didn't put a fuel filter on it. I mean, it was pretty simple.
Do you
So
feel like
there
you
are
get a lot of power with
Oh
it?
yeah, I go up a hill a lot stronger than I did before. But the rubber, there is some rubbers that'll heat up.
Mhm.
I have a race car too that runs on alcohol, and it's all, you know, most rubbers are compatible.
Yeah, since '83 generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
So we looked for any of that in your car and didn't find anything that wouldn't like alcohol quite a bit. So basically what we did is make this car like every other car nowadays. Because now cars nowadays have fuel injection for emission reasons. And so we wanted this car to be as clean as possible. So we replaced the old carburetor with the fuel injection, as Dave was saying, and then installed our kit. So this, although Daryl will probably never buy gasoline, this car will run on both alcohol and gasoline when she decides to, say, take it to Colorado or whatever. But I think we'll put a bigger gas tank in back so you can get there all the way without having to buy any
hopefully
gas
I
on the
won't
way.
have to participate in that mess.
Yeah. You know, the other thing about the cleanliness of alcohol in a car, especially of this age, is that she's not going to ever have to buy another car because alcohol triples engine life. And these older engines were good for like 150, 200,000
What?
miles. So this engine will just run and run and run and will
Wow.
always stay shiny inside with no carbon to wear out the inside of the engine or make your oil black or anything like that.
Wow, I didn't know that. So what about oil changes then? Do I have to change the oil very often?
You'll be able to change the oil a whole lot less
Wow.
than most people do. And if you use a synthetic oil, you can change the oil once every year or two.
Wow. Amazing.
Synthetic oils can be made from alcohol and plant fats as well, and we don't need petroleum for that either.
So did you invent this little box?
I've built many boxes like it. This one is made by an American manufacturer who is well known for his motorcycle racing technology. And he said, you know, it was important to do this for the environment, so he's building them for us. There are kits available from Brazil and China, but we prefer to work with an American manufacturer because this is all about local economy. And so
Nice.
we're really happy to use the American kit.
I like the idea of driving to my farmer's market and picking up my food and my fuel. I'd like to be able to
Absolutely.
do that one day, huh?
Yes, indeed.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So I remember you told me how you first drove your Trans Am in the movie. Would you like
Yeah.
to tell us about that?
Pretty damn fast.
Yeah.
I think I got an offer to be a stunt driver after that. Yeah, no, there was one point where we were driving in the desert and we had the cameraman in the back seat of the car and Quentin in the passenger seat, and I'm driving, you know, maybe 120 miles per hour or something, and it was out near Baker, and Quentin goes, take a left on a unexplored little dirt road. So we take a left and we're flying down this road and dust is flying up behind us, and then we see this giant ditch. This is about 15-foot ditch, and Quentin's like, jump it! I'm like, no! He's like, jump it! No! He goes, Burt Reynolds would do it! And I'm like, slam on the brakes, you know, all of us, you know. And then he's like, what, why? And I'm like, we would die. He goes, it's only a movie. I'm like, okay, forget it. But anyway, we were doing some pretty dangerous driving.
Yeah.
We could have gone faster if we'd had alcohol, though. Maybe we could have jumped it. You never know.
So Daryl, are you ready to challenge Jay Leno to a race with your car now?
Yeah. I'm ready to get some tickets in this now. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I can't wait. Do you know what any idea what the efficiency of this car will be now? Or?
Well, we're still going to do a few bits
Tests.
more tuning to find out what the mileage should be, but
Nice.
we ought to get pretty close to gasoline with some of the tricks we're going to use to do it, because we're going to try to optimize it for alcohol.
That's that vapor recapturing and all that kind of stuff?
Some of that kind of thing, yeah. Heating the fuel.
There's lots of things. Just when you build a motor, if you tune a motor specifically for alcohol, you can gain a lot of the mileage back and everything.
Really?
I believe you can get better mileage with alcohol if you built an engine specifically for alcohol.
Has anybody done that?
Racers do it.
Racers do it.
We race on race cars. That's all we run is alcohol. And then we build the compression up and do
Right.
wild ignition timing and stuff. And it makes, anytime you make more power from ignition or compression, you don't use more fuel. It just makes more power with more efficiency.
Nice.
So
Yeah, so the
I'm
Chinese
anxious
are
to
not
try
making big engines. They get better mileage on alcohol than they do on gasoline. And General Motors subsidiary Saab is going to be making a post-petroleum, alcohol-only sports car for Sweden that gets 400 horsepower from a little tiny engine.
What?
And it won't run on gasoline, will only run on alcohol. So,
That's amazing.
so the era of post-petroleum cars has already begun.
Cool.
What's that? Well, yes, and of course we do use alcohol in races right now, like the Indianapolis
yeah.
500
Yeah.
runs on ethanol.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the drivers, I'm talking about the cars, you know. And quite a few NASCAR circuits are using alcohol now, and more racing circuits that used to use methanol, which is a different alcohol made from petroleum, are now encouraging the racers to use ethanol, which is a better fuel. So we can take a look over here at at this motor scooter next to the Trans Am, and it's running on alcohol too.
Wow, it looks so good.
You want to get in it and fire it up?
I know I do. Can I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, all
go
right.
and fire it up.
I better leave the open container behind.
Yes. So Daryl's going to fire up the car. You'll get to hear it a little bit. We're still tuning it, but it sounds pretty good.
Oh my God. That's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
It runs a lot better than it did on gasoline.
it does,
You can
yeah.
test drive it.
Wow, it's beautiful. Oh, shoot.
Feel good about running big engines with ethanol too, because you're taking more CO2 out of the atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. So what is this story on this?
Well, we picked up this scooter, and if we look on the other side, come on over this side here, you'll see that we put the same kind of kit. Oh, it's on this side? Oh, gosh. We got it all turned around.
It's so little.
When you look on this side,
Oh, yeah.
you'll see we have the same conversion kit over here, but set up for the one cylinder of a motorcycle. So, you know, computer technology today is so flexible, it's very easy to convert, even a motorcycle like this to run on alcohol. And, you know, basically, you know, the alcohol we've made here is about 190 proof, so it's 96% pure, you know, and give you the key, Tom.
Is that not denatured then, that alcohol?
Oh, I would say that this hasn't quite been denatured yet. So, you know, you could...
Oh, that's gross.
take a little drink.
What's it taste like?
It's strong. But you can pour it right in the tank. As you can see here. So you'll know for sure that this bike is running on alcohol.
You need a little filter.
Oh, I see, it's an overflow. Sorry. What the heck, right? All right.
What proof would that be?
This is a 192 proof that we made. That's the highest you can go with distillation. Oh, I got to close the cap. Okay.
Yeah, just sit on it.
Got to close the cap first. Won't let you start without it. Okay, Tom, you want to fire that baby up and
Drinking out of your gas tank.
so you notice no choking black clouds from behind the bike.
Oh yeah.
Very cool. You can put your hand right in the exhaust.
What
and it
if
doesn't
I
burn.
put my face in front of it?
It wouldn't do a thing to you.
Really?
Here she goes. Can you smell anything?
No.
Not a thing, right? So there's almost no detectable pollution coming out of the exhaust pipe. Any of you want to check it out, you can come over and look at it. We'll just leave it running.
Take a sniff. That's cool. You can't see anything, huh?
No, and you can't smell it. You know, it's not hot. Normally it's very hot coming out of the exhaust. That's because alcohol burns much cooler than gasoline, about 300 degrees cooler. So, you know, the heat is also an enemy of your engine that eventually, you know, wrecks your engine.
Ooh. Yikes.
Can't help it. You have alcohol around,
Little
people start
drunk.
to party, and they throw bottles around.
You feel it?
So it's been said that in China, people drive motor scooters a lot And they said if every family on the coast of China, that's like 100 million people, no, 100, I can't remember the exact number, but if every family on the coast of China got rid of one bicycle and got a scooter, which is like their fervent hope, the air in the 5 western states of the U.S. would become unfit to breathe, just from the motor scooter pollution. And so already more than 10% of the pollution we have in California comes from China. Just
Wow.
blows across the ocean. And so we got to get them running on alcohol so we don't choke in America, you know?
It's a no-brainer.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. This is all so fascinating.
Any questions?
There's one.
Motorcycle otherwise totally standard?
Yeah, this is it. This is the only difference. We cut into 2 wires and plugged in the kit, and that's it. There's nothing else different about it. What's that? Well, we have it made for us, and we call it the Liberator FFS. Yeah, and we can have engineers talk to you if you'd like. It's the same one. Yeah.
What does it sell for then?
Depending on how many cylinders you have, we sell for anywhere from $250 to about $450. So a big 8-cylinder car would be about $450, and this motorcycle would be about $250.
I'm going to turn it off so we can save alcohol.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's pretty reasonable when you think about, you know, if you're saving, especially if you make your own fuel and you're saving $1.50, $2 a gallon, it wouldn't take very long to pay for that, you know. And right now, like I say, the price of alcohol in California is 60 cents less than gasoline. It's up to $1 less in the Midwest. And gasoline is cheap right now. You guys may not think so, but in a year when you're looking at $5 and $6 a gallon gasoline, you're gonna think, wow, wasn't it great when gasoline was $3, you know? And, you know, but alcohol shouldn't change much in price because it's not running out. You know, it's based on solar energy. Now in 4.5 billion years, the sun's gonna burn out, and then we're gonna have a problem. But until then, we can keep making alcohol.
What do you think is the most likely mass-produced crop that we would end up making alcohol from?
I would put my money on cattails, which is a marsh plant. And we're going to be starting, we already are starting to work with cities to install artificial marshes to process the city's sewage, because cattails take all those nutrients out of the water.
Bioremediates.
Exactly, bioremediation, and then the liquid that comes out of the marsh is much safer to discharge than out of the normal sewage treatment plant.
Wow.
But the cattails make starch just like corn, but it's all in the stalk, and we can get 7,000 gallons an acre from cattails. Yeah, and they're just plain old plants, nothing fancy like glass tubes full of algae or whatever. It's like
Absolutely.
over 7,000 just from the starch, no fancy cellulose, none of that. And we can do it right now today, and there's already 500 communities around the United States that have cattail marshes to process their sewage. If every city processed its sewage with cattails, we could replace all the fossil fuels we use in the United States with less than 2% of the land normally considered farmable, because that's a really great yield, 7,000 gallons per acre. And it's literally a waste product that's costing cities money now, and it should be thought of as a resource, all these nutrients. And you know, if there's anything that's truly renewable, it's sewage. If we start running out of sewage, oh, there's some big problem somewhere. So, you know.
That's amazing.
What's the next step?
Any more
So we
questions?
don't wanna, take divert to
Yeah, I've got to get
Cool.
rolling.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming today, and if you take away nothing else from this, the thing you need to do next is go to our website at Alcohol Can Be a Gas, look up the closest alcohol station to you, and put a gallon of alcohol in your tank and prove to yourself that you can mix it with gasoline with no changes to your car whatsoever. And if everybody did that, well, we'd take millions of gallons of fuel out of the fuel supply from oil companies and put it in the hands of farmers.
Is that bottle still available of that alcohol? I'd like to put some in my car right now. If you'll just get me started. The first one's free, I'm told. I want to get hooked here.
I'll tell you what we're going to do, Ed. I'm going to go show you a fuel oil burner over there that runs on alcohol, and then I'm going to give you that bottle.
Fantastic.
So let's walk on over here, because alcohol is good to heat homes as well as run cars.
And cook with.
And cook with. We'll
stoves.
show you that over here. So let's head this way.
I have friends that have an alcohol stove in their bus.
Great.
And yeah, the Capelli kids, you know, Zach and Steve and those guys.
I mean, as far as the
It's
cleaning.
amazing. No propane.
You can start here.
Keeps falling off, so there's a piece of glass in there.
Look at these stoves.
Simple alcohol stove is what we got here. We got a couple of alcohol stoves. Are these normally propane stoves, David? Or
No, let's see, are they all set up for us? Good.
these are geared to run on alcohol only, not propane.
That's right, they're usually made for boats, you know, because on a boat, propane is really dangerous. It settles to the bottom in a boat, and if you light a match, the whole boat explodes. And of course, kerosene or diesel fuel for a stove in a boat's pretty much a guaranteed generator of seasickness. Whoever cooks down below is like, oh gosh, it's, you know. But alcohol has no odor. It's, you know, doesn't put out any toxic carbon monoxide for people to breathe inside the closed space of a boat. So forever, boat owners have been using alcohol stoves, but now people who are trying to live off the grid are saying, why should I buy propane? Why should I use electricity, you know, from the grid when I can just use some of my own alcohol?
I've been in a lot of boats, David. There's usually a lot of alcohol in every boat I've been on. That's all I'm
You know,
gonna say.
I've noticed that.
It's a target-rich environment for alcohol.
Yes, indeed. Now, you can actually get stoves that have full ovens and ranges, you know, that are really quite beautiful, and they actually would be nice in a house,
Great.
you know. Now, I think one of the things, you know, I want to show you next is heating your home with alcohol.
Okay.
Because over here, what we have is a fuel oil burner, the same one that millions of people use around the country every year to heat their homes with basically fuel oil or kerosene. So what we've got is the fuel oil burner here hooked up to a bottle of alcohol. Now, the way a fuel oil burner works is that this is a big jet of flame that will come out of here, just igniting the fuel, and then the heater is all wrapped around this to take the heat from the flame and spread it to the house. So fuel oil, you know, in LA here we don't really have that, but around the world fuel oil is delivered by a truck to a tank at your house, and then you burn it. Well, you know, that tank's kind of handy because you could drop a pump on top, and then you could go fill your car with it from the same tank. So you can get a truck to deliver your fuel oil for heating your home and use the same fuel to run your car. So Ed, if you want to fire it up,
I'm going to flip this switch here. There's a
That's
little
it.
air gap. I assume that's not a
I
problem.
think it'll just prime itself. There it goes. And Daryl, that's perfect that you have the black dress right
Wow.
there.
Yeah,
Because
that's hot.
you can see the flame if you frame it against the black background. And you can almost not see the flame because it's so clean when it runs on alcohol
Right.
that there is almost no visible pollution. If this was running on kerosene or diesel fuel, yeah, what's your arm there?
Like,
A lot of warmth.
If you're running it on diesel fuel, you'd see big yellow flames coming out. So this is super clean burning compared to, you know, compared to kerosene or fuel oil. And so about 25% of the oil that we import a year goes for heating. So this is another way that we can really get ourselves off the oil treadmill. And all we did is over here there's an adjustment for the air draft. Since alcohol has more oxygen in it than fuel oil, we're able to shut down the air draft, so there's less air coming in from outside, and that's all we had to do. No expensive conversions to make this fuel oil burner work perfectly well on alcohol. And again, this is something that, you know, the oil companies don't want you to know about because they can sell this really funky oil for fuel oil, which they can't use for anything else. So again, you know, one of our students read the book and built this thing for us. And
Save up your donuts, folks. Save up your sorghum. These are renewable resources you can use to make fuel and heat your home or run your vehicle.
oh, heat water with it even. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Can I turn it off?
you can.
We want to save that alcohol for somebody who needs to go somewhere, which is me. Can I put some in my tank?
Yes, you can have the rest of this bottle, Ed.
Oh, good. I need to get back to the valley. That looks like more than enough. I could go to the Santa Clarita Valley and back a few times with this. This is great because I got an energy efficient car. I'm going to put it in the tank.
He's a reporter.